It's not often that I have the pleasure and the honor to talk about a film called Roadhead. Welcome to the Film Threat Podcast. I am Chris Gore, and as you know, I'm a big fan of horror films. I love exploitation horror films, but I really love an exploitation horror comedy that takes things to a whole new level of something you have not seen. It's, you could put this film in the category of queer cinema. You could also put it in the category of comedy. I think it owes a lot also to John Waters. This is the type of movie that John Waters might have made, early in his career. If you're a fan of movies like Female Trouble, probably my favorite John Waters movie has to be Female Trouble. So check that one out. But Roadhead, yes, from the poster, which I think is one of the coolest posters I have seen in 2021, is the poster for the movie Roadhead. You think, okay, I know some horrible things are going to happen in this film. And by horrible, I mean horribly funny, because it goes in directions you do not expect in ways that have not been seen. Like I said, I think John Waters is probably the best description. I'm so excited to have on today actor Damian Joseph Quinn from Roadhead, who does a tremendous job in this film. Damian, thank you for being on the Film Threat Podcast to talk to us about Roadhead.
Oh my gosh, thank you for having me. What an incredible introduction. I was the cheese in from backstage. Thank you.
Well, I want people to know that this, if you look at the poster, if you look at the trailer for this movie, it is in the realm of exploitation, but there's a lot going on. I mean, what I like about this film is your character has a very sweet relationship with your boyfriend in the film, and it's played. I don't want to say it's being played straight, because that, I don't know if that would be the right description necessarily, but it's played as like they're on a road trip with your friend, and she's, in the rebound mode, and it's just three friends going on a road trip that goes wrong. When you read the script, what were your thoughts? Because from the beginning, I thought, oh, this is going to be cliche. It totally breaks cliches from a lot of the exploit, and that's what I really love about it. Can you tell me how you felt writing the script, and then what got you? Because you've done, you were in the Billie Holiday movie that's on Hulu, right?
Yeah.
So you have, some incredible work, that you've done previously. I want to know what led to you choosing to jump in headfirst into Roadhead.
Headlong.
Tell me, what was the story of getting involved with the project?
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah. So David Del Rio really, as a director, kind of played with that trope. So at the beginning, you're into the scene where it's like exactly what you think Roadhead will be, and then everything is just constantly subverted and flipped on its head. So I'm reading it, you get a queer hero, which is so rare in horror, and also a Black female hero, which is so rare in horror. So the two badass characters who have to overcome their own traumas that they're bringing into this, journey, are, just already subverting expectations. And as a queer actor myself, it just means so much to constantly do that and like provide representation. And I thought it was a fun challenge to like hold the truth of horror, which kicks my butt when I act in it, because my body believes that it's happening. So it's in an ultra trauma state. And then do comedy, which is something that just comes so naturally to me. So I actually shot this a year before I booked Billie Holiday. So far my two movies are U.S. versus Billie Holiday and Roadhead, which is quite a fun and weird trajectory. So I was serving at a gay bar at 33 Taps in Silver Lake, and at this time it was so hard for me to get any audition. The commercial agents I was with were like so seedy and gross, and I was really connecting to this one customer, and I would like hook her up with some mimosas, and she was like, "Are you acting yet?" And I'm like, not really. And she's like, "Okay, I'm just going to talk you up on set. I did the taxes on set, so let me just see what I can do." And then a week later, I was brought in to meet the casting director of Roadhead, and that's what it's all unfolded.
See, I feel like bartending and that socializing, that actually pays off. And why is it that gay bars are the most fun bars? That everything from like I'm sure maybe you're familiar with Mickey's in West Hollywood, right?
I've heard of it.
Oh, yeah, you may have heard of it, but that whole area in West Hollywood is like, it's like a nonstop party. that, you know, whether you're, and it's just the most accepting part of LA.
Mm.
So that's awesome that bartending actually helped get you this gig.
Yeah.
When you read the script, what were your thoughts? Because you mentioned earlier, like traditionally, yeah, like gay characters or characters of color like tend to not survive to the end of a horror film. And this takes a different approach completely and kind of flips the genre.
Yeah.
But yeah, like tell me what you thought when you were reading it. You're like, okay, this isn't just like I'm being like there's material in here. And did you see the John Waters connection? I don't know if you're a John Waters fan.
Totally.
Yeah, okay, good.
Oh, totally.
Tell me what your thoughts were reading that script. I mean, just some wild things happen, twists and turns.
Totally. I mean, I love the comedy of it. There are a couple moments that like it's a good sign if when you're reading the script you're laughing, and you know there are just a couple of those like you know I mean just like simple lines where you know like my partner in the you know movie is like, you like my photography, and then quickly Alex is like, no. And I'm like, oh, but you know, it's like so funny to see these people just like interact as human beings. It's like funny, and everything is constantly subverted. So you know, it's a good sign when like you're prepping and also giggling to yourself. Or every time I watch the movie now, I like yelp. I'm a screamer when I watch horror movies, and there are a couple jump scares, light ones, but it always gets me. And those are like the good signs that like, you know, it's a wild ride, but a ride that you really cared for. So yeah, as I was reading it, I mean, those are the things that popped out. And that, you know, something happens at the end. I don't want to spoil it if folks are curious about watching it, but I'm thankful that Alex overcomes some fears. It's nice to see some triumphant strength. Is maybe already too much for me to share, but I was excited about that one reading.
Or this is a trope, and this was not handled that way. I mean, I think that's I mean, there's a rave review on the Film Threat website about Roadhead that because it really does defy all of those cliches and goes deeper, so to speak. I don't want to ruin too much about the film. I'm actually very happy that I did not see a trailer for the movie before I watch it, because I think trailers kind of ruin aspects of movie. But the production looked like it was kind of a struggle from the standpoint of you are in the middle of the desert, and that cannot be easy. Can you talk a little bit about the struggles of the production itself?
Oh yeah. This was like a beloved indie feature film. So what I love so much about making movies is that it really does take a village. It was like a hive mind. So it's people that are not getting paid top dollar to come together and just make a movie because they're passionate about making movies and because they love it. So, I mean, there's one sequence where my character wakes up on the desert floor. So I had to act on the desert floor, and the floor itself was about 125, 130 degrees. So definitely not safe. If this were a union movie, it would have been majorly problematic. So they were lucky at that time I was not union. So, you know, I would lay on the floor with a tarp. They'd, you know, remove the tarp, and then we'd yell action, and I'd be on that 130-degree desert floor for about, you know, 30 seconds to stand up into 95 to 100-degree heat to then act this scene. So playing dehydration and stuff was pretty easy. And I also did all my own stunts. So sometimes, you know, there was one that we fully rehearsed and fully prepared for, and that sequence I had down, and we were okay shooting that, because when you're in horror and doing fight sequences, my mind is thinking I'm going to get killed. So my body gets tense and contracted anyway. And then I'm playing all the fight choreography. And then one of the final shoot days, it was a very emotional day of shooting. And then we added in a new stunt that was not rehearsed or prepared. And I was thrown onto the floor of the desert a couple times, and got like the wind knocked out of me. And I went into a panic state because of this improvised sequence that we threw in that we actually cut, so you don't even see it. But yeah, these are the costs of non-union movie making. You're in the middle of the desert. One time there was like a windstorm that came through, so you couldn't even open your mouth without getting dust in it. Like, you definitely leave with a couple, you know, bruises and scars and stuff. But it is it certainly puts you into the mood to make a movie about you know, a horror movie in the desert.
And I, at least from what I could tell, most of the effects are practical effects, which I think is practical effects just in horror. To me, that's where my heart is, because I think it's, you know, that's a challenge for an actor to deal with digital, maybe a mix of digital, but was it fun to deal with the gore effects? Tell me about dealing with the gore in particular.
Yeah, I mean, there one shot, someone gets stabbed at some point, and blood is thrown into my face, and we only shot it once. You get one take, So there's not much when you only have one opportunity to nail it, and it's low budget, and we don't have like the luxury to clean me off and take the 30 minutes to do whatever. You really just got to go for it. So there's less of a preciousness and more of a trust and a faith of the free fall of like, okay, cool, let's for lack of a better word, sorry to the underage listeners, but fuck it, let's just go for it, and then things happen, and then so there's nothing that was too like I didn't have the time to make it perfect, which was kind of fun. You just kind of like run by the seat of your pants. Is that the phrase?
Well, you can say fuck it for the under if the underage are watching this, they're probably on the internet. They probably heard fuck it. I'm really curious how audiences have responded to this movie, because the title and the poster and marketing is very provocative. But how are people responding? Because I don't think they realize, I don't know that it's conveyed how much fun Roadhead is. And I'm talking about the movie. I'm talking about the movie here. What have audiences been saying? What's the feedback that you've been getting?
A lot of happy surprise. So I came off of United States versus Billie Holiday. So my first movie out was an Oscar nomination, Golden Globe winning movie, where I play like a historic, iconic character with Roy Cohn, who's a homophobic, homosexual, anti-Semitic Jew. So high prestige. I graduated from Tisch, top of my class. So my friends know me as like always elevating the standard. So when Roadhead came out, I was like, oh yeah, it's a B movie, horror comedy, And then when they watch it, they're like, Damian, why did you undersell this to me? We love it. So it's a joy to watch, especially when we watched it in the movie theater. Folks were laughing and whooping and hollering. I mean, it's a lot. It's a really, really, really fun ride. It's a good time. So yeah, I mean, the general feedback has just been how surprisingly joyful and entertaining it is, which is cool. It's a gift. It's a gift to like watch others experience it, because I read it and then performed in it, and that was 2 years ago. So it's like, oh, right. Yeah. That part's great. That part is great.
Well, if there's a quote that should be on the poster, it should be something like a fun ride, because that's exactly what it is. And I'm glad we didn't talk about, there's a turn that happens about halfway in the film that I think changes that you need to see to believe. So to everyone watching or listening to this, make sure you get Roadhead. You can get it on it's on Amazon Prime, and it's also on where else can people see it?
Yeah, Amazon Prime, Tubi, and it's video on demand as well.
Awesome. Damian Joseph Quinn, thank you so much for being on the Film Threat Podcast. Absolute joy to speak to you. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us.
Oh my gosh, likewise. Thank you so much for having me. I'm a big fan.